Welcome, and to all those of you online, wherever you are in the world, and there are more than 700 of you, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you too. So here we are in Warsaw for International Clinical Trials Day. Hooray! Hooray! They're not really awake yet. Only slightly better. So we are here celebrating International Clinical Trials Day 2023 in Warsaw. International Clinical Trials Day being on the 20th, and I know it's not the 20th today, but never mind, to celebrate Dr. James Lind's very first randomized clinical trial, where he gave citrus fruits to sailors in the British Navy suffering from the vitamin C deficiency, scurvy. And that is why Americans have always called the British limeys. Did you know that? Because of limes given to sailors. So we're here to celebrate this day. We have, first of all, to thank our Polish hosts who have been absolutely magnificent already. And we are talking today, our theme is decentralized trials. You're going to hear much, much more about that in the future. I should, of course, have introduced myself. How very remiss of me. My name is Vivian Parry. I'm a British science writer and broadcaster, and the reason why the British are often used as facilitators is because we're 90% Mary Poppins, but 10% Margaret Thatcher. So I'm saying that because I'm really quite bossy. So if I have stopped people in mid-flow in order to keep the programme to time, then please forgive me, but that's my role, to keep everything on track. Now, we have some changes to the programme, unfortunately. We've had a bit of an issue with transport here and there, and with illness, but we are still, nonetheless, going to give you a magnificent event today, as befits International Clinical Trials Day. And to introduce and welcome you further, I have Monsieur Essay Clinique himself, the director of ECRIN, Jacques Demotes.
Thank you very much, Vivienne, for this introduction. So welcome to all of you in the room, and all of you also in the remote settings. I know that there are more than 1,000 people registered today, and 700 attended at the present time, which is really excellent. We will celebrate the International Clinical Trials Day. So what is the International Clinical Trials Day? It was established almost 20 years ago by ECRIN in 2005 as a conference addressing different issues in the field of clinical research and relevant to clinical research, to celebrate the anniversary of what is considered as the first interventional clinical trial. I would not say randomized, run by James Lind on board of a ship in 1747. He had 12 sailors with scurvy, as you mentioned, and he split the group of 12 into 6 subgroups of 2. The statistical power was not really considered at that time, and 2 of them received seawater, 2 of them received vinegar, 2 of them garlic, 2 of them elixir vitriol, and so on, and 2 of them received lemons and oranges. And the 2 ones who received lemon and oranges were cured. At that time, nobody was aware of the existence of vitamin C, and this is also the beauty of this clinical trial setting, meaning it's possible to demonstrate the efficacy and the safety of drug without any knowledge on the mechanism of disease. And the 2 who were cured were used to treat, as nurses, to treat the other sailors. So this was really the starting point for clinical trials. I would say. And then we decided to celebrate every year this event through a conference during which we would address a specific topic. So this year the topic will be the decentralized trial. But last year, for instance, we were in Berlin discussing the issue of patient recruitment. The year before it was a remote meeting because it was still during the COVID crisis addressing the platform trial. In 2020 there was no event because it was during the lockdown. The year before it was in Paris on personalized medicine. The year before I think it was in Budapest on innovation and clinical research. The year before in Prague and so on. So I will not mention everything. So why in Poland? Why in Poland? For a very good reason. First of all, it is because we were invited by our Polish friend, and I would like to thank Dr. Sierpinski and Dr. Szumowski for that, and our partners in Poland from the Agency for Medical Research, but also to celebrate the connection as a full member of Poland to ECRIN that was decided last year during the month of September. Now Poland is officially one of the full members of ECRIN, and I would like to congratulate Poland not only for this connection but also for all the effort that are supported by the government to promote investigator-initiated clinical trials in Poland. And then the third question is why decentralized trial? It's probably because of the conduct of some very successful decentralized clinical trials during the COVID crisis, and we will have some examples. We will probably not have overt examples of failing trial, but it's true that running decentralized trial is a difficult exercise, and some trials were successful, some trials were less successful, and we have to try and understand the reason why some were successful and some other not, in terms of regulatory framework, in terms of ethical approval, in terms of funding mechanism, in terms of recruitment of patients, participation of patients, and so on. And so I think also the name decentralized trial shows that we are not fully aware of what are the challenges, because it's not decentralized, meaning this corresponds to trials that are no longer centered on the hospital and that become more centered on the patient, because we will go to investigate the patient, we will go at the patient office. So with this I will stop now. Vivienne, I think you have to, I hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jacques. So let's now hear from our Polish hosts, and please note, I am wearing the colours of the Polish flag deliberately and in respect. I feel we should have a round of Chopin playing now, and thank you so much. Let's now first hear from Radoslaw Sierpinski. He's a pediatric cardiologist.
Not yet pediatric. Thank you very much. It is really a pleasure to host you here in Warsaw. It is a pleasure and honor to have the members of the ECRIN here in Warsaw. First of all, I would like to say that we are very happy that we can organize such a great event, and I would like to welcome our tremendous guests with Jacques on the beginning and all of you. First of all, I would like to say that this event is a sign that Poland become important player on the European market on the clinical trials. For the last 4 years, we made a huge jump and huge enhancement and speed up on the ecosystem, on the clinical trials in our country. The establishment of the Medical Research Agency, which I am the head of, is a huge jump for Poland to become more and more efficient in the clinical trials, both commercial and non-commercial. For the last 4 years, we spent more than 2 billion of Polish zlotys for non-commercial clinical trials. There are more than 200 non-commercial clinical trials in our country, which are currently enrolling about 60,000 of Polish citizens. It is also a very important sign that Poland become more important player on the field of commercial clinical trials. Last few days there was also a conference of the GCP, General Good Clinical Practice Association in Poland, and we saw that the more non-commercial clinical trials is done in our country, the more commercial are also done here. It is very, very important feature for that, and we are finding to be better and better. Becoming the member of the ECRIN is also a very important point of our portfolio, and I would like to underline that currently we have all important tools to be the best in the Middle Europe. We have created the Polish network for clinical trials. There are more than 20 centers supporting the clinical trials in the biggest universities and health institutes in Poland. We are more and more efficient in enrolling the patients. And what is very important also from the governmental point of view, this year Polish Parliament undertake the legal act for clinical trials, which is making the harmonization with the EU law for Poland. So that means that we will be more and more similar than our Western friends. Once again, I would like to welcome you here in Warsaw. I'd like to wish you a very, very fruitful discussion. And I believe that such a meetings, such a relationships can give us opportunity to work together. The title of this conference, the Decentralized Clinical Trials, is very important also from our point of view. Our idea for the collaboration with ECRIN to the establishment of PolCRIN network is to play with you in the international market of the clinical trials. We would like to be trustful partner for you. We would like to create the consortia. We have the very good scientific groups which can help you to establish the best projects around the world. So once again, I wish you a very fruitful discussions. I wish you a very fruitful conference, and thank you for being with us. Thank you very much.
Poland really taking a place on not only the European stage, but on the world stage, becoming more and more important, not just in clinical trials, but really across the board. So I'm now delighted to introduce Professor Lukasz Szumowski, who's Director of the National Institute of Cardiology. But most importantly, your contribution to today's event, you're the national representative within PolCRIN. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to host such a wonderful meeting here in Warsaw. Let me just give you just a few numbers and a few thoughts, a take-home message. Why Poland? Why do we have the pleasure to host you here? Well, Poland is not a very well-established country in non-commercial clinical trials, but if we look at the scenario in the prior years, there has been very few non-commercial clinical trials in Poland. Although the country is quite big, it's 38 million population. So I've been acting as Minister of Health for 2 years of Polish government, and prior to that I've been acting as Deputy Minister in Science and Higher Education Ministry. And actually, we're working together with Sierpinski, and we've seen that there is a lack of dedicated entity to support clinical trials and medical research. We had the NCBR, NCN, ARP, that's Research and Development Agency, Basic Science Agency, and Entrepreneur Agency, but there was no agency to support clinical trials, which are huge, which are expensive, and which take a lot of effort and money to implement, but on the other hand, the patients and the society benefits from them a lot, especially the non-commercial ones. So we fought hard to establish such an agency, and now Professor Sierpinski is running the agency, and as I've went back to my previous job. That means I'm a researcher and a cardiologist. I'm very happy that we have such an agency, so I can apply to the agency as well as my colleagues and get funded. And what happened? We increased the number of non-commercial clinical trials by 4 times. So I think we have done a huge leap. And it's going to grow because the agency is funded as a percentage of tax dedicated to healthcare system. So the higher the GDP of Polish country, the higher the funding of the agency and the higher the funding of the non-commercial clinical trials. So I hope it will grow. I am sure that it will grow because that's how it's constructed. And we'll have more and more resources to be a new kid on the block. So we are happy to join the, I would say, old boys club from the countries that are already doing that job and that organization for a long time. And I hope that in the upcoming years, as you can see, we'll have higher fundings and we'll have higher possibilities to work. And ECRIN is a place to join different countries, to join different researchers in one team to work as the whole in the European Union, and we are happy to do that. We have the funding on our side, and now we can actually join the fundings with different countries, different agencies all around Europe. Radek just showed that over 60,000 patients now enrolled in Poland, so I'll not say it again. One thing that is also interesting is that we have now established a network of clinical trial centers, and it will help to implement GCP in research and in clinical trials all over Poland with the same standard, the same data sharing standard, and the same standards of gathering the data, which is very important. Yesterday we've talked about sharing data all over Europe, which is an issue now. And as we are building the network now from the scratch, we can implement the same standard of data gathering, the same standard of sharing. The agency is now funding a new grant for the members that have the clinical trial support centers to digitalize and implement digitalization of the data. So we are happy to, well, I think offer a very good opportunity for the whole ECRIN, the whole Europe, of good data gathered in the same standards and good clinical standards. So in every site, as my site in the Institute of Cardiology, we have a clinical research support center, which also is funded partially by the agency. And on our side, we have 70 commercial clinical trials, 9 non-commercial clinical trials, and 2 academy leading grants. So as you can see, it is growing. It's easier for me as a researcher to apply for a grant because I have dedicated people that will help me to write all the paperwork, do all the paperwork, and then apply for the funding. So thank you very much. I'll finish here. I'm very happy that the meeting takes place in Warsaw, and as you can see, we'll try to show you what we do here in Poland, and I hope that the meeting will be very interesting and that ECRIN will now be more and more present in Poland. Thank you very much.
You've clearly done an absolutely magnificent job. And actually, starting from scratch is sometimes a really good place to start from, because it means you're not building on a shaky foundation and you can really choose exactly the structures that you need to go forward with huge success. So congratulations on what you've done. It's magnificent.